Hey, greetings everyone, and welcome to this District 79 webinar, where today we're going to be doing a special Gavelier training on the impact of public speaking on personality. I'm Akanke, DTM Akanke, and I am the District 79 webinar chair. I just want to do a quick check to see if everyone can hear me okay and if you can see my screen. For those of you who are already signed into the session, can you just type yes in the chat window or hello or something just to let me know that you can hear me and that you can see my screen? That would be very helpful. Yes, okay. Hello, hi, Zaina, Nobel. Good morning, Kamal. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. That's great. So we'll go ahead and get started. On behalf of the entire district and our district leaders, District Director Abdullah Sharif, Program Quality Director DTM Rashid Ali, and Club Growth Director DTM James Turek, we are delighted that you are all here with us, joining us on this webinar. I want to go ahead and introduce our webinar team for today's session. First, we have Toastmaster Faisal Saeed. He is the current Division N Director, past Area B Governor, the Toastmaster of the Year for District 79 for 2015, the 2015 District Chairman for YLP and Gavel Affairs, and the 2013 District Champion for Evaluation. By profession, he's the sales manager for the power division at a company here in Saudi Arabia. And I want to say hello to you, Toastmaster Faisal. Thank you for being one of our presenters and for contributing to our session today. How are you?
Hello, DTM Kanki. Thank you very much for having me here. I am doing very well, and I hope the same for you and for everyone who's here attending the training session today. I hope they have a lovely session out for today.
Absolutely, thank you. And he's going to be presenting on our main subject, which is the impact of public speaking on personality. And following him will be yours truly. I am Akanke, DTM Akanke Abdul Khalik. I am the current district webinar chair, and for 2015 I was also named for District 79 the Toastmaster of the Year. I'm a past Area 20 governor, founding president of the first women's only club in Division M, Dhahran Women's Toastmasters Club, and the first female DTM for Division M in its entire 35-year history. I will be presenting today on how to organize your speech. And then we have DTM Shayla Koya. DTM Shayla is a past Division F governor. She's the past Speakers Bureau chair. She is the past realignment committee chair and was instrumental, she and her husband, with revitalizing the YLP program here in Saudi Arabia back in 2006. By profession, she is a teacher of British literature and speech and theater at Dhahran Academy in Al Khobar. Welcome, DTM Shayla. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. And she's going to be presenting on how to control fear, which is a really wonderful thing to teach on. Okay, so before we get started with our training, I want to let attendees know that they can participate and engage in this session in 3 ways. First of all, you can ask questions or make comments by raising your hand. There's a hand icon on your control panel. If you click that, I will see your hand go up, and at an appropriate time, I will open your mic so that you can ask your question or make a comment. Additionally, you can also type a question in the question box, which many of you have done. You've said hello, and we really appreciate you doing that. And so if you have a question or a comment that you don't necessarily want to speak on yourself, you can type it there and I will handle it at an appropriate time. Additionally, we will have polling questions during our training. This is a sample of a polling question that I just grabbed off the internet, and we'll have specific polling questions related to our training today. So when you see it come up on your screen, you'll have 30 seconds to respond, and then we'll look at the results and talk about the results. So we're ready to get started with our session today. And in order to get started, I need to switch over to Toastmaster Faisal, soon to be DTM Faisal, for his presentation, and I'm going to do that now. Faisal, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so I'm switching over to you.
So are we on the presentation mode?
Yes, I switched over to you, so you should get a
Great.
notification, and you just accept that, and then we'll be switched over to your screen.
Okay, just let me know when I can start, so I'll just go right ahead and start.
Okay, did you get the notice to change to your screen yet? Did you accept that? I don't see your screen yet.
Yeah,
It should be
great.
showing
Can we
shortly.
hear it?
Yes, it's on.
Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. Is that okay?
Okay, I don't see it. There it is. Okay, yes. So go ahead and start your slideshow, and the floor is yours, so to speak.
Thank you very much. Well, the internet is mine now. There we go. Good morning to all of you listeners out there. I hope you're having a lovely morning today. Now, today, the presentation I'm going to be doing on is how your public speaking affects your personality. Now, this is a very interesting topic, especially for the young Gaveliers who are coming up, because you need to understand that the world out there needs personalities who can, in fact, take charge of the world in the coming future. So today we're going to speak on or learn, or let's say understand about how public speaking impacts your personality. Now, what is personality? Now, this is the first question that is to be answered before we, in fact, go about understanding how things can affect your personality. Most people, whom I've come across, they're led to believe that personality is something to do with appearances. A few say it's about how intelligent you are. A few say it's about how smart you are. And there's a wide, huge list which goes on about what they think of personality. But here's the thing: what personality really is who you are. It is the, the combined characteristics and qualities which are inbuilt within you, which are imbibed in you, which form a distinctive character. That is your personality. And your personality could be molded, shaped, enhanced based on the experiences, based on the exposure that you can throw yourself into. Now, typically, there are a lot of characteristics and qualities which go into building a personality. Now, there are lots of definitions out there on the internet, on books, on psychology, on how and what a personality could be governed by. What I'm going to use is the ocean. Ocean is basically the big five personality traits, which is used very extensively by psychologists to describe human personalities. Now, what is the ocean? Ocean includes openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. I know these are very scientific looking jargons, but I need to put these things in just to make it look a tad bit scientific that I have done my research, right? So openness generally goes to your ability to to take in experiences, how you can incur experiences, what is your personality in terms of being cautious. Are you curious? Are you open to seeing new things? Do you reflect new parts of society, or do you just stand back and just see how things are happening, or do you get involved? Conscientiousness is something about being organized, about how disciplined you are. Are you very well oriented? Are you goal oriented? Are you dependable? Extroversion is about, as the word suggests, how you are with the society. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Do you go out and talk? Do you enjoy situations, or are you like, no, I will not do this. This is not my thing. Are you an introvert kind of a person? Moving on further, agreeableness. Agreeableness, as the word suggests, is something about how you are towards other people in terms of tolerance. Are you warm? Are you trustable? Are you trustworthy? And how far you can agree with other people. And last but not the least, neuroticism. Now, this is something which is to do with your mood swings, your temperament, confidence levels. I mean, the more confident you are, the more successful you can get, which is but obvious. Now, to put it down, in openness, your high scores would be being more creative, being more curious. In conscientiousness, your high scores would be hardworking, disciplined, organized, punctual. Extroversion would have things like talkative, affectionate, passionate. Agreeableness would have things like trusting, lenient, good-natured, and neuroticism, of course. You have, empathy, self-confidence, being calm, and being comfortable, etc. Now, I know these jargons and technical terms have been a little too heavy all this while, and just for your information, just made it to make sure you get a little bit of weight of the presentation. But I'm just going to make this a little simple for you right now, and that is what this is. So what a personality mainly comes down to, if I have to put it in simple words, it would be self-confidence, open to experiences, your energy levels, how disciplined are you empathetic towards people, are you an understanding person, are you disciplined, etc., etc. As you can see, these are the few things which reflect or which form the basis of your personality, right? Now, how do we increase or how do we enhance these elements of your personality which will take you to greater heights? Well, that's where public speaking comes in. Now, I'm going to, of course, ask questions which, of course, I cannot hear answers back to, but I would like to believe that I'm hearing the answers which I've got already. Why consider public speaking? Now, here's a big question. Where do you find the world's greatest ideas? I'm going to give, like, say, 10 seconds of a pause over here so people can, in fact, take time to think about it. Where do you find the world's greatest ideas? Right? Now, most people, they might say in maybe laboratories. Some might say in huge companies like the techno giants. Some might say in the offices of world leaders. But the right answer, in fact, is they're found in cemeteries. They're found in graveyards. Because few of the greatest ideas of the world died with man himself because he could not speak these ideas out. A lot of things in this world would have been different if probably somebody in that graveyard who had one of the greatest ideas spoke his idea out. And he could have, in fact, given a new dimension to the world. Moving further, what is the answer to every unasked question? Imagine this. You want, say, a toy, or say maybe a PS4, or maybe a game for an existing game that PS4 or an Xbox that you have. And you need to go to your parents and ask. You go to your parents, you ask them for this. You might get a yes, you might get a no, or you might just get a plain simple, please go back and study. But what if you never ask this question at all? The answer to that question is forever going to remain a big no. When you ask the question, you have a possibility of three things minimum. A 33% chance for a yes, a 33% chance for a no, and a 33% chance for a maybe later. But if you do not ask the question, you are down to 100% no. So speak out and ask that question, because if you do not ask questions, you will not get answers. And for you to ask questions, good morning, public speaking. Moving further, again, why consider public speaking? All of you listening to me over here, I'm sure are great at studies. I'm sure you guys have done a lot of hard work when it comes down to academics. So what is your leverage? In this competitive world, imagine a scenario where you have done your best at university, you've done your best at schooling, and you're out there for your final interview. You have two people who have been selected of 700 people in your university, and it's down to the two of you. Here's the thing. Of these two people, the person who wins the job is the person who can communicate with the interviewer. Because for the first few rounds, it's about written tests, it's about your academics, it's about how well you have studied, it's about how well you performed in maybe sports maybe. But in the end, when it comes down to selecting you, when it comes down to your final round, you have a panel of 6 people, maybe 7, maybe more, maybe less sitting in front of you. And then the person who can communicate, the person who can talk effectively to these panelists is the one who gets the job. Because, hey, you guys have come down to the final round. It's 1 and 2. The person who speaks wins the show. So, in this competitive world where you have so much of cutthroat when it comes down to academics, your leverage is public speaking. At least a very strong leverage, I would say. Moving further, now I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this amazing phrase: actions speak louder than words. True that. But hey, actions speak louder than words. Perfectly fine. Now let me ask you a question. Do you know these guys out here? The first one on the top left is Nelson Mandela, followed by Abraham Lincoln. We have the John F. Kennedy. Down you have Abraham Lincoln, followed by Mahatma Gandhi, and finally we have Martin Luther King Jr. Do you remember the speeches that they have given? These people, they gave speeches. They spoke to people. Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" is a speech which is acclaimed until today. Alexander the Great, when he commanded his team, people listened to him. They listened to what he said. They didn't listen to what he did. Nelson Mandela, people listened to him. Abraham Lincoln, people listened to him. John F. Kennedy, Mahatma Gandhi, any leader, be it a good one or a bad one, was heard. He spoke and they were heard. You as a speaker, you as a person who can command the people, turn out to be a great leader. And leaders are strong personalities. Again, sure, actions speak louder than words, but here's the thing: words can initiate actions. Your words can inspire people. Your words can make people do things. Your words can inspire, revolutionize, and change the world. So you communicating to people out there makes a big difference. That makes you a stronger personality. Now, why public speaking? Here's a very, very interesting reason why. Other than a rock concert where you are going to share the stage with 7 other people and going to sing a song which has already been sung by somebody, there is no better place and no better way to be heard by a large audience where you can speak your ideas, your mind, your views, your opinions, where you have the stage for as long as you can stand there and everyone is out there listening to you. Have you ever felt as important as that? Than when you're standing out there facing the crowd of, say, 50, 100, thousands, and maybe more. Public speaking lets you be heard. Now, let's come down to the benefits of public speaking. Interpersonal communication. On a daily basis, we talk to so many people. What if we cannot go up to our friend or a stranger out there? You're lost on the road and you cannot go up to somebody and ask, "Excuse me, do you know how to get to this place?" If you cannot ask, you will never get there. So, when you're able to talk to people, when you're able to speak to people, your interpersonal communication increases. And you can perhaps get to the place faster than if you're an introvert and you're just trying to look around here and there. It helps you organize thoughts. Now, when you do public speaking, more often than not, you'll come across situations where you're just handed the mic and you have to speak. Now, when you do public speaking, you will have a series of things that you'd like to say. And this public speaking helps you organize your thoughts in a way that can be communicated rightly to the person whom you're trying to address it to. In the following trainings, Toastmaster DT McConkey will be helping you out with organizing your speech, which will, I'm sure, include how you can organize your thoughts. Going further, it helps you develop the ability to express. Now, the more you speak, the more of public speaking you have, you develop an ability to express your ideas. You can challenge the audience, you can challenge the norms of society, because when you're able to communicate out to your people, to the people in front of you, you develop the ability to express. And like I've just shown in my previous slide, when you speak words of influence, When you speak words which can change, which can revolutionize, that makes you a leader. And leaders are what the world wants today. Toastmasters 2 is aiming on making leaders. And as I've already mentioned, the more influential you get, the more of leadership qualities you have. It helps you connect with people. It helps you talk to absolute strangers. It helps you convey your message to people you do not know. Is there any other way that you can call a random person out and say, excuse me, this is my idea? No. When you have the stage out there, you have 500, 600, and millions of people listening to you, you can speak to these people. You have professional growth to this. Let me tell you a story about one of my very dear friends. I remember he was working in CAX, and he was the brainchild behind the entire project. And when his boss came to him and asked him, hey, can you do the presentation? He said, no, I can't. But let's ask my friend over here who's a really nice talker, is a nice speaker. Let him do it. And guess what happened 6 months after my friend's friend did the presentation? He became my friend's boss. Now, when you do public speaking, when you know how to communicate the idea that you have in your mind, there's nothing like it, right? Imagine if somebody else can portray or project the idea in your mind. Imagine how well you can project it, and imagine the kind of success that you can get if you are able to express your idea out to the world. And last but not the least, if you can stand out there and speak in front of 100 strangers, trust me, you have the spirit and the courage to attempt whatever it is that there is in this world. Because according to a cliche comment which comes in every public speaking training, that the number one fear that people have is public speaking, and then it is dead. Well, if that is the case, if you can face the biggest fear, which is public speaking, I believe you can attempt anything on the face of this planet. Now, you know about the benefits of public speaking. You know what the personalities are. Now let's try to map it out. Benefits of public speaking to the key elements of personality. Now, we had discussed the benefits of public speaking being the interpersonal communication skills, organizing thought, ability to express, leadership, influential personality, connectivity with people, professional growth, spiritual strength, etc., etc. Now, let's pick one of the needs. Interpersonal communication. What are the elements of your personality over here which it could be communicated to? Interpersonal communication definitely helps in self-confidence, because if I can talk to somebody one-on-one without stammering, without thinking twice, that's my confidence. If I'm talking to an absolute stranger for the first time, that is an experience. Now, is that energy? Perhaps it is energy as well. If someone who's trying to beat you up is coming down and you're going to talk to him and talk him down to not beating you, that's energy. That's positivity. Now, if there's somebody who is down and you go talk to him, that is compassionate. And of course, discipline comes in with interpersonal communication. You just cannot go ahead and talk whatever you want. Understanding, empathy. Interpersonal communication practically maps all of these. Organizing thoughts. It goes with discipline. It goes with efficiency. It goes with confidence. It goes with compassion. Ability to express. What does it go with? Ability to express confidence. Unless you're confident, you cannot express. So the more you express, the confidence you build it. You bring positivity. Ability to express comes down to understanding, because unless you understand the person in front of you, you will not be able to speak in a way where you can express. Empathizing. Your audience should know what you're speaking about. You need to empathize with what people are saying. So your ability to express, again, most of the elements over here being covered. Leadership. Now, leadership practically has all of this. Ain't it? Now, leadership, if you are a strong leader, you have to be confident. Okay, a leader is always thrown to unseen circumstances, and a leader needs to develop energy. He needs to bring in positivity in his group. He needs to be compassionate. A leader has a clear vision. He has a goal, which makes him disciplined. A leader empowers people. A leader understands the situation of people. A leader is efficient in organizing his team. So leadership, which is the benefit of public speaking, maps to your personality now. Connectivity with people. Influential, of course. I mean, unless and until you're an influential person, how else are you going to be somebody who is efficient or who's compassionate? Connectivity with people, professional growth, spiritual camp. You can take any of these benefits, and these are just a few of them. There are so many more benefits when it comes down to public speaking, networking, growth, and more knowledge, education. There's so many. I can just go on and on, but time restricts me and speaking of all the benefits. And the benefits, each one of them, it maps to these, to at least one, if not one. It maps definitely to one of them, minimum. So when you have these benefits of public speaking mapping to your personality, what you get is as simple as, okay, why am I not? Yeah. What you get is this, an excellence-driven personality. Your personality is so critically shaped when it comes down to public speaking. I know for myself, when I was back in my fourth grade, I remember people would come down to me and they would mock me because I could not speak English properly. They would come down and not mock me because I could not communicate properly, I couldn't speak properly. And I had taken it up as a challenge to go out there and speak. And I spoke, and I did not speak like a great leader right at the start. It took me years, and it has taken me years and years, and I'm still learning on how more public speaking can in fact develop my personality. So for all the Gaveliers out there, go out there, speak out, speak your ideas, communicate to the world, do your public speaking, do your success, and then you will see who you are tomorrow because of public speaking is not just any ordinary person. You are going to be a revolutionary. You're going to be a leader. The greatest people who change the world. And not just, I'm talking about the politicians, I'm talking about people like Steve Jobs. Do you know the way he gives a presentation is what makes him more successful? The way he speaks to his people is what makes him more successful. And for those of you who are seeking a little more inspiration, here's a movie recommendation for you. Do go out there, watch this movie, The King's Speech, and that is good motivation for you. So that is all I have for me from my side for this particular presentation. I hope you've learned well, and if there are any questions, I am open to take them now. Hello there. Is there anybody out there who's got
Yes, I'm
questions for
here.
me?
Can you? Yes, yes. We have some questions and we have some hands raised as well. So let's go to some hands first. Let me
Okay.
just see who is there. Okay, so we have a hand raised by Ardra Uni, and I'm going to open your mic so that you can ask your question or make your comment. Can you hear us, Ardra? Okay, I opened your mic, but I don't hear you. So I will lower your hand for now, and I'll come back to you if you raise it again. And let me go to someone else. Let's check these mics and see if they're working. Okay, Imamuddin Ishmael, your hand is also raised. I'm going to open your mic, and you'll be able to ask your question. Can you say something so that we can make sure we're hearing you?
Yeah, good morning, sir. I would like to ask you that if there is any books that you can recommend for us to develop public speaking.
Well, there are quite a ton of books out there. I mean, personally, what I like is a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I like that one. There's one by The Seven Habits of Seven. I mean, this is a personality development book, The Seven Habits of Successful People by Stephen Covey. But the one by, I can't recall his name, How to Influence People and Friends. Uh, it's a very, very popular book. If you can go through that book, it is amazing. I mean, it's one of the life-changing books that I've read in my when I was back in school. It has so many elements of public speaking and how, in fact, you can not just public speaking, but how you can talk to just anybody and how you can influence people into, into agreeing with your thoughts or inclining them or getting them in line with what you're trying to communicate to them. It's a really nice book. It's called How to Influence People and Win Friends.
Great. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Faisal. And we're going to open the mic for Mariam Hyder. Mariam, your mic should be open. Please go ahead and ask your question. Mariam, can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to close your mic. If you would like to ask a question later, you can raise your hand again. Okay, let's go to the question box and see what we have here. Let's see. Toastmaster Ayman or Gavelier, I'm not sure if this is a Gavelier or Toastmaster because we have a mixed audience here. Ayman Rahim says, what do you mean by leverage? Toastmaster Faisal, can you explain what leverage means?
Okay. I've already, during the course of my presentation, I have already mentioned as to how competitive the society is. You know, how you have everybody look around. He's scoring really high scores in his academics. So what is the advantage that you have? Leverage basically means an advantage or somebody else. So if everyone around you is being as good as you in academics, then what is the advantage that you have over the other person? And that's where I explained the scenario of an interview where you have like 700 people, okay, of which 2 people have come down to the final interview, and there are a few people in the final interview who are going to interview. There's going to be a panel of people, say sometimes 3, sometimes 5, 6, 7, depends. And out there, the person who can communicate with his panelists, somebody out there who can convince them that he is the better choice, is the one who gets the job. Because convincing requires your public speaking ability to influence, as I've already mentioned, are the benefits of public speaking. So once you come down to that stage, the person who can influence better, the person who can talk better, is the one who has the leverage over the other person, who has the advantage over the other person. I hope that answers the question.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Faisal. We're running on time. I want to launch a quick poll to ask speakers or ask participants, what do they think? Do good speakers make good leaders? Answer that question. You have 30 seconds to answer the question, and we'll get the results coming in. %30 of our attendees have voted. We have 15 seconds left to vote. 70% have voted. You all are doing really great. Okay, we're going to close
Is
the
there
vote.
no way the organizers, I mean, the panelists can vote?
Pardon?
Is there any way the panelists can vote as well?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I know this is going out to all the leaders, so all the participants. And I'm going to close the poll now. And these are the results. The results are 94% said that good speakers do make good leaders. Any final comments on that poll result
wow.
from you? Does Mr. Faisal?
From me, if I have to say, yes, it is. It is in fact, like I mentioned, presentation was about how it impacts personality. So yes, in fact, if you are a good speaker, you are most likely to be a good leader in terms of how you influence people. But in the end, you can be a great influencer. But again, there are various other aspects of your personality which also need to be shaped in. So you are a good leader in the right path. You need to take the people in the right direction. So that is what an eventual leader has to be. You have to be a great speaker to influence people, but you need to have a vision as a great leader to take them in that direction. So I think that should pretty much summarize how a leader needs to work.
All right. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Faisal. I'm going to give my...
one last comment.
Sure.
Sorry, just one last comment. The book was written by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. His name was just slipping out of my mind.
Oh, yes. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. In fact, DTM Kamal Khan put that in the question box to clarify that as well. Great. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to switch back over to my screen so that I can go over speech organization. And we will do our best to get to some other questions, but we need to go ahead with the presentation now so that we can get to DTM Shayla, who's going to be talking about fear. And I see a lot of questions already in the question box about fear. So let's talk about organizing speeches. I mean, if you're going to be a public speaker, it certainly helps to be organized in what you're saying. Your speech is the roadmap for your audience to keep up with you, to listen to you, to be engaged with you, and to be interested in what you have to say. So, we're going to talk about how to organize your speech, and today you will learn the importance of organizing your speeches clearly and coherently. We're going to talk about 5 major parts of organizing main points in a speech, guidelines for organizing main points, and speech connectives and their roles in a speech. So, research shows that well organized speeches are easier for listeners to understand, as I said, and listeners find speakers who give well organized speeches more reliable, more trustworthy, and just they have more confidence in what they have to say. Clear organization is connected to critical thinking. This is a really important point. Organized speeches will help you as students, as speakers, as Toastmasters, as Gaveliers, to understand the relationship between ideas. In order for you to develop your content, you have to think critically about what you want to say and about the ideas behind and the meaning behind what you want to say. And in that light, critical thinking is used to organizing your speeches, and that's going to benefit you in every aspect of your life. If you can think critically beyond the surface, you are developing a very important leadership skill. So the main points. Main points in your speeches should be limited, period. Usually in a 5 to 7 minute speech, you have the opportunity to talk about 3 main points. But if you have longer speeches for like 8 to 10 minutes, you can probably get in maybe 5 points. If you have too many main points, you should condense them into a few broad categories. That's really important. Now, in general, the general organization method for organizing your speech is tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you already told them. This is what Toastmasters teaches us in general. It's a pretty straightforward outline. Your introduction should indicate what you're going to be talking about, and then your body should tell them exactly what you said you're going to be talking about, and your conclusion should remind them of what you just talked about. But let's look a little bit more closely at organizational methods. There are 5 main ways to organize your points: chronological, spatial, causal, topical, or problem solution, which is ideal for persuasive speeches. So let's look at chronological. Chronological order is a method of speech organization in which the main points follow a time pattern. For example, you could give a speech about what you did yesterday. You could say, well, I got up out of the bed, I went to school, I came home from school, I had dinner, I did my homework, and then I watched a movie. Your day in a speech. You would do it in chronological order. Another example that I'd like to give is on the Great Wall of China. So if you were giving a speech and your speech purpose was to talk about the building of the Great Wall of China, you could say your first main point could be the building of the Great Wall began with the Qing Dynasty in 221 through 206 BC. The second section was built during the Han Dynasty of 206 BC to 220 AD, and the wall was completed with the Ming Dynasty of 1368 to 1644 during those years. That's another example of chronological order. Spatial order is a method of speech organization in which the main points follow a directional pattern. And let's say, for example, the Eiffel Tower. If you were to do a speech about the Eiffel Tower in spatial order, you could say, well, at the base of the Eiffel Tower is a gallery and restaurants. And the middle section is where the stairs and the elevators are. And the top section is where you have the viewing tower. Or if you were going to do a speech about your house, you can say, in the front of our house is where the family room is. My favorite part is the middle of the house where we have something else. I mean, there's so many ways to do spatially organized speeches about almost anything. So it just has to do with where things are located. Topical order is a method of speech organization in which the main points divide the topic into logical and consistent subtopics. Logical and consistent subtopics. So, for example, let's look at the painter, Pablo Picasso. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. You could talk about him, about three aspects of him. As a painter, for example, this is one of his paintings showing on the slide now. But did you know he was also a sculptor? So your second main point could be about him being a sculptor and the fact that a lot of his sculptures were done and created using found objects, things that he found. And then the third point you could probably say is about him as a printmaker. So those are topical ways to treat the subject or the topic of the painter, Pablo Picasso. Problem solution order. This is a speech organization in which you deal with a problem and talk about a solution. Very straightforward. The first main point deals with the existence and seriousness of a problem, and the second main point presents a solution to the problem. Let me give you the best example I can think of. You have stage fright. Yikes. What's the solution? Becoming a member of a Gavel club or a Toastmaster. So you could divide your speech into the causes of fear and the second part of your speech, solutions to overcoming your fear of public speaking. Causal order. If you approach the causal order, it's a method of speech organization in which the main point shows a cause and effect relationship. So, for example, this is a picture of the ancient Mayan civilization. And you could make your topic the cause of the collapse of the Mayan civilization. That's the cause. And you would have two main points. Mayan civilization flourished for over 1,000 years until 900 AD, when it mysteriously began to disintegrate. That's the effect. And then the second point would be scholars have advanced three major explanations for the causes of this disintegration. And that would be the cause and effect. And there's so many other examples that we can think of. Now I want to talk quickly about tips for preparing your main points. Keep your main points separate and distinct. Each point should focus on a single idea. When you're talking about a main point, don't delineate too much so that speakers get confused about what you're talking about. Your main point should be focused on a single idea, and try to use parallel wording in your main points. It makes it easier to understand and to stand out from the other parts of the speech, from the details of the speech, and balance the amount of time that you devote to each main point. So if you have three main points that you're covering in your speech, make sure you give balanced time to each one. There are four types of connectives. These are very interesting. Connectives, basically, you can call them transitions. This is one type of connective. A transition indicates when a speaker has completed one thought and is moving on to another. For example, my next thought is, or the next thing I want to tell you is, or moving on from there, let's talk now about my third point, for example. Or internal previews are very interesting. An internal preview is where you let the audience know what you're going to be talking about next. For example, an example of an internal preview is we can solve the problem by knowing how to identify the symptoms and knowing whom to contact. That's a hint that you're going to tell them who to contact, for example. Internal summaries remind listeners of what they have just heard from you. And that's the opposite of internal previews. So, for example, you can say, therefore, anyone can help solve the problem by knowing how to identify the problems and knowing who to contact about helping them. That's after you have given them your message about solving problems and finding help. Signposts are brief statements that indicate exactly where a speaker is in their speech. For example, the ideal ones are, let's first take a look at the nature of the problem. Secondly, let's move on to the idea of how to resolve them. Third, like that. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so now what I would like to do is I would like to ask you all to identify the organization method for this speech objective. You're going to talk about rodeos began in the Old West as contests of skills among cowboys during cattle roundups. By 1920, rodeos had become a popular spectator sport for the general public. Today, rodeos combine traditional Western events with a circus-like atmosphere and the marketing techniques of big business. Let me open and see what we have in the question or the chat window. What kind of organization was that? Uh, oh, goodness. I've been doing this the whole time and you haven't seen my screen. My goodness. I'm so super sorry about that. Ah, a conke. I'm sorry. And I wasn't able to look in the question window to see that. I'm so sorry. So I've been going on and you haven't seen what I've been saying. Okay. How disappointing. Okay, let's see here. What do I do? I'm going to just check here for questions and see. Chronological. Okay. Great. Yes, that's chronological order. Now, can you all see my screen? Yes. Oh gosh, I feel like I should start all over. Okay. I do apologize for that, everyone. Okay. So we talked about the organizational methods of the last one, which was chronological. Let's talk about this one. The outermost section of the ancient Egyptian burial tomb was the entrance passage. The next section of the Egyptian burial tomb was the antechamber. The third section of the Egyptian burial tomb was the treasury. What type of organizational method is that? Spatial. Very good. Thank you. Toastmaster DTM Kamal, Sanju, Numan, Miran, thank you very much for answering that. Introductions and conclusions are very, very important. What are the objectives of a speech introduction? So what we just talked about was the body, how to organize a speech. Now we're going to go look at the introduction and conclusion. The objective of the speech introduction is to gain the attention and interest of the audience, to reveal the topic of the speech, to establish credibility and the goodwill of the speaker, and to preview the body of the speech. Methods of gaining attention: relate the topic to the audience. You could start with a question, for example, how many of you are afraid of public speaking? If you're delivering a speech to people who have come to hear about Toastmasters or Gavel Club. State the importance of the topic, startle the audience. You can give a wild statistic like one that we're all familiar with. People are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. That's a startling statistic. Arouse the curiosity of the audience. Today, I'm going to tell you something that will change your life. And then that gets them thinking, my goodness, what is she going to tell us about? You can question the audience, as I just gave an example of. Begin with a great quote. Tell a story, an anecdote, or a joke. Personal stories are great. Jokes are good if they're in good taste. And refer to the occasion or to the previous speaker. That's always good. Preparing an effective introduction. Make the introduction brief and to the point. Keep an eye out for potential introductory material as you're preparing your speech. Be creative. Don't be concerned with the exact wording. And prepare it in detail so it can be delivered effectively. A speech conclusion has two primary functions. The first function is to signal the end of the speech. The second function of the conclusion is to reinforce the audience's understanding or commitment to the central idea of the speech. So you would say, in conclusion, today I've given you several examples of how to organize your speech. I've given you 5 examples of how to organize your speech, and then I would reiterate what those 5 examples are. So you would, as I said in the beginning, tell them what you just told them. Also, methods of ending your speech is to summarize the main points of your speech, to conclude also with a quotation or a call for action, like that would be considered a dramatic statement. Refer back to the introduction. You could you could just simply remind them of what you said in the introduction. And these methods can be used separately or they can be used in combination with each other. So, how do you prepare a good conclusion? Keep an eye out for potential good material for like a quote, for example, for your speech. One thing you don't want to do in the conclusion is to introduce new information. A quote is fine, but don't start talking about new things in your conclusion. And conclude with a bang instead of a whimper, because they'll remember your ending the most. And be brief. Be brief. Prepare the content and delivery of your conclusions with special care. Take care of your conclusions. So, in conclusion, today I've talked to you about main points of arranging your speech, how to organize your speech. There were 5 main points: chronological, spatial, causal, topical, and problem solution. If you want to be an effective public speaker, an effective leader, make sure you organize your speech well, have a great opening, a great body, and a great conclusion so that you can wow your audience. And I know a lot of you are thinking about the fear factor. So, are you ready to learn more about how to overcome the fear? To do that, I'm going to switch to the presenter, DTM Shayla Koya, and I'm going to open her mic. And I know we have some questions, but I need to go back to DTM Koya. I need to go to DTM Koya first, open her mic, and change her to the presenter. DTM Shayla, I'm going to switch over to you. And for those of you who didn't, since I didn't have my presentation running, when we finalize the recording, I'll make sure I add my slides into the.
Can I start?
Yes, please start, DTM Shayla. Yes, please start.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone out there, Gaveliers, Toastmasters, and guests. Good morning. Now that you've heard how important, how significant public speaking is, and how you have to organize your speech before you give a presentation, I know the most important question that might arise is, okay, I know how important it is, I know how to organize a speech, I have a speech written, but how am I going to face the audience if I have a problem? This is the most important question that might arise in the minds of a lot of people. And on behalf of District 79, this webinar is going to tell you how, I'm going to give you a few tips on how we can get rid of that devilish fear that we call very affectionately as stage fear. So welcome to this presentation, everyone. Usually, we begin the presentation with a rationale. Why do we do this presentation today? To enable young presenters to do the best possible is the best option that I can give you. And we are also going to give you strategies to minimize stage fright. The most important thing that we need to do when you feel that you're really scared of being afraid on stage is to analyze the cause of anxiety. Most often, the cause of anxiety is the risk of failure. You know, I might go on stage and then suppose I can't raise the word, I can't get the words. Suppose I forget my speech. Suppose words do not come into my mind. This is the most important, most significant thing that comes into your mind when you're on stage. Now, you must understand that the cause of your anxiety is actually the reason of your belief. If you believe that, oh, I'm going to fail, if you believe that this is the reason, then that exactly is what's going to happen on stage. But you need to understand that. This is from my personal experience. When you are more anxious about how I'm going to perform on stage, understand that that fear is caused by adrenaline, a hormone that comes out of your from the base of your brain. And adrenaline is good in one sense. Stage fear is actually good, I'll tell you, because stage fear, which is caused by adrenaline, is giving you an extra energy. The only thing is you need to know how to make proper use of that extra energy. So in order to make a dynamic speech, you need that enthusiasm and animation, and that's probably why God is giving you that extra adrenaline coursing through your brain, so that when you use it, you will have an enthusiastic and animated speech. So the one tip that I'm going to give you, when you feel scared on stage, we're going to analyze the causes, but when you feel scared on stage, move. Movement is the best way to get rid of that extra energy. Not get rid, but you're going to use that energy. How to overcome this fear? We need to know that anxiety on stage is very common. Just a few minutes ago, Toastmaster Faisal was telling you about how it is very common, and even death fear is only second to fear of public speaking. In a study conducted in the US in 1970s, it was found that 85% of people, for 85% of people, death fear was only second to fear of public speaking. And I'm going to tell you a story later, how George Carlin, the comedian, talked about how public speaking fear is so common. Now, if you're asking me, are the beginners only the beginners going to be scared on stage? No. If you ask experienced people, ask world champions, they're going to tell you they are also scared before going to stage. They are apprehensive about if something is something going to happen. Is it going to be all right? Is it going to be smooth? They are scared as well. So this is not something that's new to beginners only. Now, for me personally, I found out the answer to this, the key to this death fear, or this worst fear on earth, but through the 4 P's. The 4 P's, what I have in mind is plan well. We are going into that in detail. Prepare with care and practice many times, which is the most important thing, and present with confidence. Now let's see how this is going to happen. Managing anxiety, the first step that you need to do is through practice. Practice in front of the mirror. Now you have an organized speech with you, and the best thing that you need to do is to practice in front of the mirror. Then your family and your friends are going to be constant support to you. Practice in front of them. I remember we had a friend called DTM Matthew Scurry, and he once had a humorous speech. He talked about how his friends and family used to be so apprehensive when a contest comes near, because he used to make them sit in front of him, and then he used to practice in front of them, and that was their fear. But no matter what, if they say no, doesn't matter, make them sit in front of you and practice in front of you. The more you practice, the more thorough you become with your speech. And that is going to help you overcome your fear. Now, if they tell you, you need to do this better, you need to do that better, accept that proactively in a very constructive manner, because they don't mean bad for you. They want you to succeed on stage. Now, when you are on stage, if you fear that when I look into the eyes of people, I'm going to forget my speech, look at a point above the heads of those people. Now, there's something called a Z look when you deliver your speech, which is going to come to you later in the form of a webinar. But if you're wary of eye contact, if you're scared that you're going to lose your speech, don't look at their faces in the beginning. Look above their heads of those people in the audience. When you want to physically avoid anxiety, if you want to manage anxiety physically, the best thing that I can suggest is body and voice warm-ups. I do a lot. I never believed in this before, but now I use it a lot. Tongue twisters. They're going to help you loosen your tongue and make your blood circulation in the face and the neck easier. And exercises like the ragdoll exercise. Ragdoll exercise is like moving your head, putting your head down towards the floor with your hair hanging down if you're a girl, and so that the circulation into your brain is maximum. And then roll your head up and then roll it from one shoulder to the other. The idea is to make blood circulation smooth over that area of the head and the neck. This is going to help you with blood circulation. So your tongue is going to be more fluid and smooth, and the more fluid you are with your tongue, the less scared you are going to be on stage. Some people do aerobic exercises before they go on stage. Yoga is very good before you go on stage. This will definitely control your fear. And when you are on stage, I know it's so difficult to get your breath coming out. because you're scared. So don't breathe from your chest, but breathe from your diaphragm. Take long breath before you start speaking. And of course, dress very confidently, very well, because apparel, they say, they make the person distinct. And if you're well dressed and you're confident, you know that you are giving a good pose to the people, so your fear is going to be less. And then the next thing, the most significant thing, is mental rehearsal, imagery and visualization. I'm going to explain this further. What exactly do we mean by mental rehearsal, imagery and visualization? In the mental rehearsal, what I want you to do is, before you go on stage, you're sitting in your seat, you're ready to go on stage. Next contestant is you, next speaker is going to be you. So sit there on the chair, close your eyes. Imagine yourself walking up to the lectern. No, you're not walking up to the lectern, you are imagining in your mind. Smile at the audience, breathe deeply. You can sit there on the seat and do these things. And then you go about the speech and captivate the audience with these words and gestures and your vocal variety. Think about how you are going to perform there, and think about how the audience is giving you a big round of applause because you just gave them a beautiful speech. Repeat the speech also. Repeat this performance. Now, before I go for a speech, this is a personal tip from me. In order to get to rid of that fear, I write the speech. I don't know if some people can do this. Maybe you are not, but if you can do this, also you will be less scared. The idea is to make yourself thorough with your speech. Now, in your preparation, eat very lightly. Don't eat a big meal. Eat lightly. Drink a nourishing drink. Maybe ask your mom to give you something like a booster, and eat a banana, they say. And before you go on stage, congratulate yourself. You are doing something that other people cannot do. Those people who are sitting there waiting for your speech, they're not better than you, because you took up that courage, and you are in front of them. You're giving a beautiful presentation, which some of them cannot ever do. So congratulate yourself. And people say that you get a massage before the speech. Ask your mama, Gaveliers, to massage your feet, your hands, to massage the back of your neck. This is really going to help you. I heard from world champions that before they go on the stage, they go for a sauna, they go for a massage, they go for a lot of exercises. I'm sure this is going to help you overcome that fear, overcome that extra energy, and it will be turned into your enthusiasm and dynamism. Now, before you present on the stage, understand, it's very normal to feel nervous. The audience won't notice. Look and feel confident. Now, I need to tell you a few things about the butterflies. There are some, there was a picture which I cannot see right now. It disappeared from my presentation. There are some signs that you will have to show that you are really, really nervous on stage. Your heart rate will increase. You sweat. Your voice might go down. You might feel dizzy. You might feel that you are going to faint on the stage. Please understand that this is because of adrenaline coursing on through your veins. Adrenaline is a hormone, but as we talked about it before, it can be turned into energy. Now, if you have sweating palms, just make sure that you hold it by your side. Don't show it to the audience, showing that you're shaking. And if you're shaking, try not to think about the fact that you're shaking. About everything. You think of butterflies in your stomach. Sometimes people used to tell me it's not only butterflies, Toastmaster Shailakoya, it is crocodiles in my throat and all other animals in several parts of my body. This is very, very common. Do not think about them. When you have butterflies in your stomach, think about them as good, because when you overcome your public speaking fear, you will make them fly in formation. Just think about how it's adrenaline. It's adrenaline. It's not going to put me down. It's going to help me. Now, you will start in the center and you will end in the center. These things are going to really help you when you come up and when you think about it. Just don't run away from the stage. Conclude, start beautifully, just like Toastmaster Akanki was giving you all those slides, and conclude gracefully. Do not run away from the stage because you saw the red card, and people might think that you are really, really scared. So don't do this right now. I'm going back to one of those slides here again, because when I really, really want to tell you how well you can practice. When you practice in front of your family, maybe you don't feel it. But when you're in front of an audience, you might feel it. Think about it. It's because you have that physiological changes happening in your body. I don't know what happened to that slide. I had a big slide out there with all those pictures of how from top to toe, you have those physical signs that are coming up. So think about how your heart is pounding, but it's because of adrenaline. But don't think about it in that way. Stay calm, take a long, long breath, and if they tell you that you're shifting your eyes, try not to focus into the eyes of people. Try to look over their heads. Now, this is not it's not the end of your life. If you fail, it's not the end of the world. You are going to succeed once again. So go back to it. I know that some people, once they failed, once they stopped talking on stage, they don't do this again. They're scared to go back. Now, I want you to take more courage and go back to the stage once again. This is not going to happen all the time. You know, as I told you, almost all those speakers out there, when world champions, they have failed at one time or the other. Once I was speaking in front of an audience of 1,000 people, and I looked back because it was part of my speech. I saw myself on a big screen, and the entire speech disappeared from my mind. I got so scared that I did not know what to do. Let me tell you what I did. I moved. I moved from the center to the other side of the stage, and I was trying to mumble about the rest of the speech, but then when I moved very enthusiastically, and it came back to me. One more tip that I can give you from when you begin this the speech. In the introduction, as Toastmaster Akanki was telling you, when you begin your speech, you're beginning with enthusiastic, beginning with a lot of those items that she told you. Warmly shake hands enthusiastically with the person who's giving you the stage, and smile. Smile before the audience. Now, that smile is going to give you two things. Number one, you are putting yourself at ease. Number two, you are putting the audience at ease. They're going to be with you. So don't be scared. Now, let me give you this speech from George Carlin. George Carlin was a famous comedian in the 1970s or 80s. And he gave us this wonderful story about how he had gone for a funeral. And someone, you know, in Western countries, during the funeral, you have to give a eulogy. It's a speech before the audience about the good things that this speaker had done, and it's a good speech about the person who's dead. And he says, 98% of the people, they refused to go upstage and into the podium because they said, I would rather die and be in that coffin than be at the lectern speaking. So they preferred death to speaking at lectern. So this is not something uncommon. It's very common. So think about it. It's normal. The only thing is, everyone is afraid. You need to find out ways of overcoming that fear. So I hope you got something about how to overcome nervousness. Look up at people's over their heads, and then don't look onto the floor, please. Look at people, not into their faces, maybe over their faces, and think about how adrenaline is making me feel like this. Now, just let me give you this example. If you have a dog coming after you, you will run, of course. But have you ever stopped for a minute and thought about what is it that I'm afraid of this? I'm afraid of this dog. Is it the bite? Is it the bark, or is it the animal, that flowery animal that's coming up? If for a minute you stop and think, maybe you won't run after all. So think about why you're scared, and then go out trying to find ways to get rid of that. Now, I think I have given you some ideas about how to get rid of this fear. Now, if you have questions, I'll be waiting for those questions, and I think we'll go into more details when we go over the questions. Christmas, Akanke?
Yes, thank you so much, DTM Shayla. Well, we are over our time. It's 11:15 now, and I do apologize for us being over time. This is clearly a topic that needed more time, and we touched on a lot of the details, but we do have some questions. So I would say if everyone is agreeable, we'll go until 11:30 and take the questions and make it more meaningful for those who had questions that have not been answered. So let me just go to the attendees and see who has their hand raised, who has not asked a question before. I'll open the mic for Aswin Siva Prasad. Aswin, your mic is open. Do you have a question or a comment? Your mic is open, Aswin. Can you hear me? Okay.
I'm waiting for the question.
Yeah, there's no question there. Nothing came. Mohammed Mateen, are you there? Can you ask your question? Your mic is open now. Okay, nothing there. Okay, let me go to Zaina Siddiqui or Siddiq. Zaina, your mic is open. Go ahead, please. Zaina, are you there? Okay, she typed a question in the question window also. So I'm going to close your mic, and it says, if we are to be above the people, then what about eye contact? That is so much suggested.
Okay, good question. I was waiting if someone would ask that question. We talk about eye contact a lot. Now, eye contact need not be into the eyes of people. It can be like we call it the Z look. It is from the military. The Z look is like you look at people, take a lot of people in from the back in a straight line and then come diagonally like the letter Z, like the letter Z, and then look among the people, but you need not look into their eyes directly. If you're scared of eye contact, and if you fear that you are going to you forget your speech when you look into the eyes of people, look at people in general. You can throw your glance. It's called throwing your glance, not looking into the eyes. So take people in a line, like a lot of people in one line in one bar, from starting from the back and then come diagonally here to the other side at the end, and then from there to the right end in the form of a Z, and then you can look at people from in the form of the letter N also. Do not look into the eyes if you're scared. Just look sweepingly, throw the glance among the people into the audience, but not look into the eyes. I hope it clarifies. If I could show you, it would have been easier. Inshallah, in one of those meetings, if you are there, I'll be able to show you how you throw your glance and not look into the eyes.
Okay.
Just generally look at people. That's all.
Okay, thank you, DTM Shayla. We have a question. With fear, I speak fast. How can I slow the pace or reduce the pace of speaking? This was asked by Lesha Ahmed.
Once again, I did not get the question.
Yes, they're saying that when they're afraid, they speak faster. What advice can you give about slowing down? That is the way they deal with their fear.
All right. Now, the fear is that you will forget the speech. The best way is you have note cards in your hands. And when you're apprehensive, you tend to speak faster. So take each note card in your hand. When you practice itself, when you're practicing at home, take your speech from the note card. And when you memorize the speech on stage, of course, you are going to memorize it at times, but memorize it from that note card, and then you will slow down. Because if you're looking if you are looking into your mind and then you're scared that you will forget the next line, it doesn't matter if you have the note cards in your hand. So each point have note cards, put them on note cards from the notecards. And audience, don't memorize the speech from your mind itself, memorize it from your note card.
DTM Shayla,
That way you will slow down, you won't go fast because you're going fast because you're scared that you will.
excuse me, DTM Shayla, you're breaking up really badly now.
All right.
That's better. I can hear you. That was better. Someone is asking the question, what happens when
Okay.
you stammer in between the speech and you get embarrassed? You forget something, you stutter, you just completely maybe even freeze up. How should one deal with that when that happens?
Okay. Please, because you are scared. So when you feel that you are stammering, find out even when you're preparing your speech. When you are preparing, find alternate words, find synonyms. So when you forget that word, the alternate word should come into your mind. So when you memorize, it should not be like memorizing on the peripheral level. Think about the speech, internalize it, and then always have another alternate word in your mind for that word that you will forget. I used to forget some words. I knew I would forget, so I always used to have that alternative for that word in my mind. So if I forgot, I knew I would forget some words. Like, for example, let me see, the word chime. I wanted that word, I like that word, but I knew I would always forget that word. So I have an alternative all the time in my mind, and on the note card also I would write that word down. So picturize that word. When you write the speech, picturize that word in your mind so that and in relation to the topic, if you have that picture, maybe you would not forget that word. If you feel that you're stammering because you don't get that word,
Okay.
try to get that alternate there.
Thank you so
A
much.
synonym. Find a synonym or another way of saying it.
Yes, thank you so much. I want to open the mic now
Any
for
other
our first
question?
presenter, Toastmaster Faisal. Toastmaster Faisal, I'm going to open your mic and address a question to you. Are you there? Are you still there? Toastmaster Faisal, can you hear me? Okay. Shayla, there's a question from Haifa, someone named Haifa Anu, and she wants to know,
All right.
so what do you think is more important, the content of your speech or the way you deliver the speech? If you had to choose one, what do you think is most important? Wow. They're both very important.
Okay.
What would
Very
you say?
interesting question. And yes. I think both are equally important, but they say in the modern days, even if you have i- i- initially when you start speaking, concentrate on the delivery because how you say it really matters. A glass of juice which is dirty and a glass of water which is very clean, people would drink only the glass of water because it's clean. So if the outside, if your word choice and your delivery is more, it's beautiful, then people may not think about the content. But later, when you go into real contest, content has more marks, equally important marks as delivery. So think about a good message, and that's very important. Initially, think about how you will deliver because you are Gaveliers and you are not, we don't expect a big world champion speech from you. The way you deliver is how we understand how confident you are. So for beginners, delivery, but as you grow older and as you grow as speakers, please, both are equally important. Okay, the message is important. The content is really important.
Awesome. Thank you very much, DTM Shayla. In these last few minutes, I want to just go back through my slides quickly since they weren't showing, just so that someone has asked me to do that in the chat window. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I won't take long and I won't spend time on them. And I think I'm going to start with this slide. Basically, your general organization is that you're going to tell people what you're going to tell them, then you're going to tell them in your body, and you're going to conclude by reminding them. Then after that, we talked about the chronological, the main ways, 5 main ways of organizing your speech: chronological, spatial, causal, and topical. In the chronological example, I gave an example of the Mayan, the Great Wall of China. You can talk about when it was first built and when the second portion was built and when it was completed. Go by the year and the different dynasties that were associated with it. In the spatial order, it's about dealing with time. I'm going to close your mic, DT.
All right. Dr. McCarthy, you there?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me
Now
now?
we can
Yes,
hear
I
you.
can hear you.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So you couldn't hear anything. Oh goodness, today is not my day. Okay, well at least you saw my slides this time. You didn't hear me. You heard me the first time and you didn't see my slides. This time you saw my slides and you didn't hear me.
Yes.
I'll get it together. I'll get it together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay, but thank you all so much. We'll try to fix the recording so that everything pieces together quite nicely, inshallah. I want to thank all the presenters for being here. The segment on the impact of public speaking on personality was wonderful and insightful. DTM Shayla, thank you for helping our attendees to understand how to overcome their fear, giving them some tips and answering their questions. And I hope with the information that I provided about speech organizations, those 5 patterns, and how to develop a good opening and conclusion. I hope that was helpful for everyone. We're going to be doing more Gavelier presentations coming up, and we hope that our presenters will join us again, and we hope our attendees will come again. We apologize again for the technical issues, and any concluding thoughts from either of you, DTM Shayla or Toastmaster Faisal?
Well, I guess I hope that was a lovely session, and if absolutely there are any questions or queries related to my presentation, I would like to share my email address and my mobile number if required. They can contact me anytime, and I could be of help whenever they want me to be there. So that's about it, and all the best with your future endeavors, little Gaveliers.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Faisal. DTM.
Okay, DJ McConkey. DJ McConkey, I'm very thankful to District 79 for this opportunity. I think, like you, today was not my day because the original presentation I've lost a lot of slides, but I'm going to send you the presentation so that you can attach that presentation, which is complete. All the slides are there. So if you could do that with the recording, that would be wonderful. And if the Gaveliers have any questions in future about how to overcome their fear, or about any other aspect of public speaking, they can of course contact you. DTM Akanke, please, if you could supply them with my mobile number and my email, that would be wonderful. Anytime.
Okay, you're breaking up now. Okay, thank you all very much. You're breaking up really badly. We're gonna end the session now. Thank you so much again. We appreciate your contribution, and thank you to all the attendees for joining us today. Bye.